Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm the City Witch. So I have your November free reading for you. So this is going to offer clarity and insight to the month ahead in order for you to make informed decisions and to be pre-warned about certain things that might be happening in your life. Now, if you've never had one of these readings before, all you need to do is take a moment to calm your breathing, slow it right down. So take a couple of deep breaths. As you do this, relax your body and release tension from your muscles. And then take a moment to stare at each of these groups of cards. So we have group 1, group 2 and group 3. Whichever one you feel most drawn to, so that'll be the one that you have a reaction to. So your heart skips a beat, or maybe your heart speeds up, your eyes keep going back time and time again to that particular group of cards, or perhaps your palms get sweaty, or for some reason instinctively you just know that is the right group of cards. That is how you select the group that has a reading for you for this month. So if you need to, take a moment to pause the video in order to make your selection. So do that now for me. So you should have now chosen your group of cards. So let's begin the reading with group 1. Okay, so for you guys in group 1, we have the Oracle, Thunderbird Clan and Clarity. So for you guys in group 1, the month of November is going to be all about information gathering and gaining serious clarity on a situation. So I feel very strongly that this is a situation that's been going on for quite a long time, and I feel like it's friendship related. It might be business related, like a colleague, but mostly I feel like it's a friend that is in your life that you're not sure whether they're trustworthy or not. The thing that's coming through mostly for me is this friend is someone you've had a long-standing friendship with. So someone who's been in your life for years and years and years. And this friend slowly but surely has changed, and that friendship as a result has changed. And perhaps things have become just that little bit toxic. What I mean by that is they're the kind of friend where you don't speak to them for months at a time, and then they'll want to meet up with you. And when they do, they yabber on about their own life. They gossip about everybody in their life, giving you information you didn't want or need. And then when they ask about your life, they're not actually really asking about your life. They're asking about everyone in your life in order to gain more gossip to go away and gossip to somebody else. So they are drama queens. They are full of drama, full of chaos, very much into gossip and storytelling. They always repeat the stories incorrectly, and they use information as a currency. That's the kind of friendship we're talking about here. Now, for you in particular, you've come to the conclusion over the last, I would say 6 months, maybe 12 months, that this friend isn't trustworthy, and you're starting to wonder whether you should test that friendship. Some of you might have already gotten to that point where you need to test this person. If that is the case, then this is definitely the month where you're going to get your answer. You're going to gain clarity on whether you can trust this person or not. How truthful and honest are they? That is the question that is up for debate in November. Now, what you're going to gain is very important knowledge, and it's going to give you great insights into that person and their life, and it's going to put you in a position of authority and power as a result, because information is power. Okay? Now, you need to be able to use that information wisely, and you've got a very important decision to make. I think it's going to come down to 2 things for many of you. Is this friendship way too far gone? The kind of friendship where when you're around that person, they prevent you from becoming who you want to be by dragging you backwards into who you used to be when you first met them. Because this particular individual we're talking about hasn't grown, hasn't changed, they're just the same old person, but the friendship has changed because you have changed as a person. You've grown, you want to move forward, you're embracing enlightenment and honesty, and you're developing your character in lots of different positive ways. But this particular friend has yet to grow, has yet to develop, hasn't learned that, knowledge isn't the key to everything, hasn't learned that you don't need to gossip about other people, and hasn't learned how to live a drama-free life, whereas you have. Every other friendship in your life is fairly drama-free, and every other friendship is prosperous and abundant, offers you something, you can pick up the phone and ask that friend for guidance, for help, and they will be there for you. But this particular friend we're talking about, this particular relationship has become so toxic that you know that if you asked for help from this friend, they either wouldn't pick up the phone, or they would and they would tell you no. They wouldn't be there for you in your hour of need. And if you went into hospital, they would never visit you, because it doesn't serve them to do so, because they're not the kind of friend where they actually care about you. They care more about your life and what you can give them information-wise than they do about you and what you're actually doing with your life. They don't care about what you're going through, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what projects you're beginning, how you've gained that opportunity at work that you've been dying for, how you've recently just had kids, or you've just got married, you know, or you've just been on this fantastic holiday. They don't seem to care about that information, but they do care about the other friends in your life and what they're getting up to. They care about your family and what gossip is going on there. And quite often when they leave your life, you are knackered. You know, so you go through this scenario with them, and I'm getting this very powerful sense of exhaustion from you guys. Like, you're just tired. You're tired of the same old routine with them. They leave and you're like, thank God that's over. You go through this cycle of, oh, I really don't want to see them again so soon, because they're so draining. If you're genuinely saying to yourself, you don't want to spend time with this person, you don't want to see them, that they are making you feel drained and exhausted, and they don't add anything to your life, all they do is take, then that friendship has definitely outlived its usefulness. So that brings me back to having the two choices. For many of you, you might decide that this friendship is too far gone and you cannot possibly salvage it, or maybe you even don't want to because of everything you've gone through with this person. So it might be time to let that friendship go. And if you let that friendship go, Spirit wants me to tell you that that void, that gap they leave behind, will be filled with a far better, more fruitful, prosperous friendship. One that will elevate your position, and one that will help guide you forward into your future, that will help you feel fulfilled and nurtured by that friendship and not drained and exhausted. If, however, you decide that this friendship is savable, that you care enough about this person that you don't want to let them go, you can't possibly let them out of your life because you do love them, you do care for them, but you just don't like who they've become, then it's going to mean putting in some serious boundaries. And I do feel for many of you, you're going to get pushback from that. With ThunderClan, this is about life force, and this is often a very striking change. So they're going to see it as a sudden change, and they're not going to enjoy this change that you're presenting them with, because you're putting in boundaries. You've never done that before, or you have, but maybe on a small scale, but now you're putting in a larger, more important boundary. They're going to fight against that. They're not going to enjoy it, because fundamentally your friendship with them is changing, and it's changing because you're making it change, not because they want it to change. So you are going to get pushback. You are going to feel like you are rebuilding a friendship with them, and that is okay. If you feel like this friendship is salvageable, if you feel like it's worth it, then go ahead and put your all into it and put in those boundaries, because eventually that person will start to conform to those boundaries and will learn to respect your boundaries. And as a result, your friendship will change for the better. The boundaries you put in place, though, need to be carefully chosen. So with the Oracle card, this is about gaining important information and insight. So this might be also telling you that you need to gain intel on this friend and how they operate, and other people's experiences with that person is going to help you formulate what you need to put in place to make your friendship with that person far better. It's going to offer you a breakthrough. It's going to give you the truth once and for all, and it's going to be a real eye-opener to your life and this friendship. As I say, if this is business related and it's a colleague at work, this could be the kind of colleague that takes from you, uses you, puts all their drama and chaos on you, offloads their life onto you emotionally to make them feel better, and as a result you feel drained, full of all their heavy burdens. So the kind of boundary you need to put in place is maybe, let's just keep it work related. I don't want to know about your family life. We don't have that kind of friendship where I feel you can offload on me. You might need to put those sorts of boundaries in place to protect yourself. If they are are offloading on you when it comes to work, getting you to do their work for them, it might be time to go and speak to a manager or somebody that's in a position of authority above you both who can resolve this issue. Make them aware of what's going on, because you need to air your grievances, because this reading for November is all about clarity. It's all about understanding, and it's all about speaking your truth. So if you're hiding your truth, the situation is never going to get any better, and it's only going to get worse. And as the approach to Christmas is coming up, for many of you, it's going to get stressful because of the high buzz of Christmas. We've all got to do Christmas shopping. We've all got to get the food in. The bills have just gone up. You know, things are stressful enough without adding to your load, is what you're being told here. So now is the time, before things get too much for you, to put those boundaries in place, to speak your truth, to speak up, and make sure you are being heard by the right people. So very, very important messages for you guys in group 1. And I think you do know what I'm on about here. And I think you do understand the kind of friendship that this is trying to describe to you. And if you're really honest with yourself, I think for many of you, you need to let go of that friend. I'm picking up on a lot of toxic energy, a lot of selfishness, and a lot of exhaustion from all of you. So I honestly feel you need to think about seriously letting this go, or taking a break from it and saying you need some space to reflect on whether this friendship is good for you or not. And I can honestly say, from what I'm seeing here, for many of you, the friendship isn't good. But for some of you, there is a smaller group of you where you can salvage this friendship, and it is fixable. It's whether you want to fix it or not. So take some serious time to think about it and do what's best for you. Don't let anyone sway you one way or the other. And in particular, that person that is draining you, whether it's in business or in your personal life, don't let them sway you either. You've got to make a decision, and you've got to stand your ground with that decision. It's very important, guys. So let's move on to group 2. Okay, group 2, we have the mountains, we have ripe berries moon, and cleansing, spirit path of the north. Ooh, interesting. So I'm sorry to say, for you guys in group 2, the month of November is going to be an obstacle. There is going to be something in your life that's going to block your path, and it's going to be something immovable and something potentially very stubborn, or something very difficult to overcome. You might already know what I mean. And actually, for some of you, this could actually be you, because there are 2 potential meanings to the mountains card. It can represent an obstacle blocking your path that you have to overcome, so an uphill struggle, or it can represent you needing to set firm boundaries and stand your ground on something because somebody is disrespecting you or not respecting a decision that you have made. So let's start with those of you who feel like you've encountered a blockage. So for those of you who feel like the mountain represents a blockage in your life, something you need to overcome, you have 2 options. You can either choose to go around the mountain, which might take a long time, and you honestly won't learn anything, but you will be able to sort of escape that blockage temporarily in order to move forward. But I do feel like that blockage, that obstacle, will return time and time again if you don't face it head on. Your other option is to go over the mountain, to conquer that obstacle. It's going to be an uphill struggle, it's going to be hard work, and it is going to be difficult, and for a while it's going to feel like you're making no progress whatsoever until you reach the peak of that mountain, and then it's all downhill from there. It's all smooth sailing, things will pick up speed, and you will feel like you're finally making progress, because you are. But it is going to be difficult, and it is going to be tough. Not going to lie to you. Now, if you choose to go over the mountain, tackle it head on, you are going to learn a very important life lesson, and it is going to give you great strength. You are going to come out on top, and it is going to be a mini victory in your life. One that's going to give you confidence and courage. It is also going to make you feel like you are releasing your burdens. It's going to come across as a form of detoxification, and you're going to finally free energy in your life to finally move and make progress. Because at the moment, for many of you, things are stagnant. Things haven't moved for a while, and it's because you've come up against this mountain and you are generally confused about how to deal with this situation. But for many of you, that means avoidance. I'm picking up on a lot of avoidance, a lot of not quite fear, but just more, oh, I'll do it later kind of attitude. Later, later, later. That word is coming up quite a lot from spirit. And the thing is, this mountain was a molehill initially, and now it's a mountain. So it's a much bigger problem now than it was when it first came into your life. And because you haven't dealt with it, it's just grown and grown and grown. And now it's become this big, immovable thing in your path. If you are the mountain, so this is where we get to those of you who feel like you are the mountain, you have become immovable, you've had to put in structure, boundaries, and stand your ground. If you are the mountain, guys, the message from spirit is you're on the right path. You absolutely needed to put that boundary in place. You absolutely needed to stand your ground, because too many people for too long have took advantage of you, manipulated you, and deceived you. And putting in that boundary is creating respect, teaching people that you are not a pushover, and that when necessary, you have the inner strength to stand your ground and do what's needed to protect you and your loved ones. But the warning from spirit is you can take on this immovable, strong energy, and it'll help you in that current situation. But then after that, you have to still embrace being flexible and being able to compromise and cooperate with other people. You can't just be this immovable force that is stubborn all the time. That's going to lead to so many problems in the future. So there's a very delicate balance going on for you guys who are the mountain. So know that you're on the right path, and that setting those boundaries in place is important. So if you haven't yet done that and you're thinking about doing it, the answer is yes, it's the correct thing to do. You do need to put boundaries in place. You do need to stand your ground, and you do need to learn to stand up for yourself. That's very important. So no matter whether this is, in your relationship, in a friendship, in a business arrangement, a colleague at work, or even with your boss, you do need to learn to stand your ground. But part of this lesson for you is going to be learning how to communicate that properly to people, so you don't just come across as this stubborn, ignorant fool, effectively. And I know that sounds harsh, guys, but for you guys who are the mountain, it's very important that you communicate how you're feeling carefully, especially if this is involving a situation at work, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where HR get involved, where your manager feels they can't rely on you anymore, or where you're bullying or dictating to other people. Because being a mountain, being this immovable, strong force, can come across as you're trying to dominate a situation, control a situation, turn things in your favor. You can end up being the manipulator instead of the one that was being manipulated. It's very easy to become a bully, effectively, because you're standing your ground. You have this strong sense of self now, and you are really fixated on what you want. And that's fine to some degree, but if it travels into all areas of your life, it could start to become a problem. So make sure you have balance and structure if you are the mountain. And if the mountain is an obstacle, like I said, for you guys, for many of you, it's going to be about you making a decision once and for all about whether you're going to tackle it head on or go round it and try and avoid this situation. So serious thinking is needed here, but you are going to learn some life lessons. If you choose to tackle the mountain head on, if you choose to deal with this situation and face it, then you are going to feel lighter as a result. You are going to grow as an individual, and you're going to release that burden that's been on the shoulders for a very, very long time. So it is a form of detoxification. And finally, you're going to see movement in this situation. You're going to see progress, but it's not going to be for some time. So I would think that this situation is going to take roughly about 6 months for you to solve, but the beginning of it needs to start in November. The more you put it off, the longer it's going to take to fix this, the worse it's going to become. So start now in the month of November, and going into next year, you will have either conquered it or feel like you're at the top of that mountain, and finally you can see the horizon and things are starting to improve. So let's move on to group 3. Okay, so for you guys in group 3, we have the Spirit Fox, trust your talents in the changing times, introspection, Spirit Path of the West, and the West card, which is interesting. So we have 2 West cards here. So the first thing I want to say is I'm getting this image of waves from the ocean, and many of you are going against the waves, which of course is pushing you backwards, and it's becoming a struggle. There is a fight, a battle going on here, and for some of you it's become exhausting, it's tiring, you're fed up. The reason I'm getting this image, Spirit is telling me, is you're fighting changes that are happening. And it's silly actually, because I'm also being told that for many of you, you saw these changes coming a mile away. You had plenty of opportunity to prepare and be as prepared as you possibly could be for this imminent change. And you are still fighting against it for some reason. There's this still battle going on. Part of it is fear, because I'm picking up on anxiety and worry and concern. Fear of the unknown is definitely coming up here, but you knew this was happening, you knew this change was coming, so why are you afraid? There's something deeper for you to work on in the month of November. There's something that maybe you need to look at within yourself. I would also say here as well that this is an opportunity for you to not fear changes that are happening. This is an opportunity to embrace them as something positive, to see the silver lining here, that as things change, it brings on new energy, new perspective, new unions and opportunities. As things shift and change, it doesn't have to be a negative. It can be a positive. And actually, for most people, it is a positive. Even when they fear it, it's a positive. So trust your instincts, trust yourself. Your inner voice is telling you that you are fine, you are strong, you are capable, you are confident. You can go through this and come out the other side better than ever. So don't fear the unknown, because there's nothing to fear. Let things happen and go with the flow. Stop fighting the wave of change and instead let it flow into your life and flow with it. Let it come in and let it go out. I would definitely say as well that this change is going to bring about new beginnings for you. These new beginnings are going to be excellent opportunities to grow and develop and progress forward. Now, I don't think you guys have been stuck, because you've been going through this changing cycle. You can see these changes coming, and many of you have prepared and some of you haven't. But for those of you who have prepared, this is a great opportunity for a new beginning. This is an opportunity of progression and inspiration and creativity. So again, lots of positives. If you were one of the ones that didn't prepare, that you tried to deny that this change is coming, avoid it at all costs, the change is happening whether you like it or not, and it's here in the month of November, and you're not as prepared as you could be. So this might be pointing out that this fear you have is because you're not prepared. It's because that time you were given to prepare, you wasted it. So this could be a life lesson in knowing when to prepare and when not to. This could also be a month of recognizing that maybe you're in a bit of a lazy, toxic cycle, that you leave everything to last minute, and as a result you're just not prepared, not ready, don't know what to do, struggle with what's happening and fight against the changes because you just feel so overwhelmed by it and so underprepared. So going forward, guys, the lesson is definitely going to be, utilize your time correctly. When you see something happening, be better prepared for it. Learn to be a bit more organized, and rather than fight the changes coming into your life, learn how to ride that wave of change to progression, creativity, and inspiration. Because the changes that are coming in, I don't see them as negative. All of what I'm seeing here is a positive. So even those of you who didn't prepare as much as you could be for this change, it's still not going to be a negative. It's still not a bad thing. You might feel afraid, because obviously the unknown is coming. But I do feel for many of you, it's going to be okay. You know, the message here today is, even though you're not as prepared on this occasion, everything's going to be okay. Trust your instincts. You know deep down inside you're being told that you are capable, that you can do this, and that everything's going to be okay, and that you shouldn't perceive this as a negative, because actually it's a positive. Even if you can't see it right now, it's a positive in disguise. It's going to bring new wonderful things for you, and you are going to feel much better off, especially as things progress into December to January. I do think you are going to see the positives of this change. The change is quite sporadic, by the way. Like, I'm not being too specific about the change in this particular reading, because for me, there's lots of different things coming up. Some of you, it's definitely work related. I'm seeing changes in jobs, changes in career, change of position, and I'm seeing that movement in career that is, yes, the fear of the unknown, because maybe you don't know the position, you don't have the skills or the qualifications, or maybe you're being put into a position of higher authority and you're not keen on being a leader, or having people under you that you have to, you know, boss around and dictate to. But you wouldn't be given these things if you weren't ready for this next opportunity. And for many of you, you are more than ready for it. I just think you don't like that you're going to have to do it. Some of you are fighting against that because you like where you're at now. You don't really want things to change. You quite like the position you're in, but it does mean that that's going to become stagnant if you stay where you are. There's no growth. There's no room for movement anymore. You've done all you can in the position you're in now. So the natural step is to move into something new where you can learn new things and grow in new ways. So you are kind of being pushed out your comfort zone a little bit in some ways. For others, I'm seeing this as being relationships taking the next level or even concluding, and then there's that fear of the unknown. Some of you, I definitely want to say it's divorce related. I'm seeing marriages falling apart a little bit here, and I'm seeing you being afraid of being on your own. You've spent so long with that partner that all you've ever known, that fear of the unknown, is consuming you. But it's again, it's a new beginning, it's a fresh start. It's going to bring with it new opportunities. You need to embrace this as something positive and stop seeing it as a negative. So in this situation, whatever it might be in your life, look for the silver lining. That is where your new beginning and fresh start lies. And if you can find the silver lining, it will give you a positive outlook on this situation. But above all, trust your instincts, okay? Learn to be prepared in the future. Learn to be better organised so that when things occur, you are more than ready for it. So that is the message for you guys in group 3. So thank you very much for watching this month's reading. I hope you've really enjoyed it and it's spoken to you. If you know what these meanings and messages you received today are in relation to you in your life, then please feel free to leave me a comment and let me know. I do like feedback on my readings. They are much appreciated. If you'd like to book a professional reading by me, you can do that using one of the links provided in the video. So you can contact me through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or via email. I conduct reading on all of those platforms. If you would like to offer like, love and support to my channel, you can do that through Patreon. Thank you very much for those who do choose to tip me and support my channel. It does help me do what I'm doing and keep on top of all the equipment that I need and keep on top of my training so that I can continue to give you these wonderful readings. Thank you very much for supporting me. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to give me a thumbs up. Click the bell so YouTube will tell you when my next video comes out. And thank you for offering like, love and support to me and my small channel. Take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Blessed be.